As I had said before, we crown this showcasing of excellence by the special privilege we have today of having on set with us a remarkable young man. A young man we discovered at the recently held Seplat Energy Summit, where he was one of the 3 finalists for the Seplat Energy Competition on Environmental Sustainability. Nonso Opurum is the CEO of Soso Care. He is a former banker, he's a sales agent, a web designer, and development journalist. Whatever that is. He is a fellow at the Leap Africa Social Innovation for his works on utilizing technology to improve healthcare access. In 2018, he founded Jara Care Innovation, a digital platform which improves access to healthcare through telemedicine. This initiative was actually selected as one of the 7 startups from Africa by the University of Basel in Switzerland. In 2019, Nonso founded Soso Care, a low-cost health insurance which aims to solve health inequality in Nigeria and somehow manages to combine it with issues of environmental sustainability. Nonso and his team accept both cash and recyclables to create inclusion for those very poor people who cannot afford health care and who cannot afford to pay for health insurance. Nonso holds a diploma in business studies, a BA in business studies, an MBA in policy and strategic management from Greenwich University, UK. He has also taken many other courses, including the World Bank's Basics on Health Economics. Nonso, it's a pleasure. Welcome to the Sage. Let me start by asking you to tell us about yourself. Who is Nonso? What got Nonso to do these things?
I think you've said it all yourself. My name is Nonso and I am the founder of Soso Care. And what we do with Soso Care is that we aim to provide low-cost health insurance to millions of people across over 1,000 hospitals. And
even before you go into Soso Care,
okay.
Tell us what drove Nonso. Okay. Where do you come from? Oh. What drove you? Because others like you out there will be wondering, was this boy? Did he have a godfather somewhere that? Yeah. Tell us.
Well, actually, there's nothing there. We just do what we can do. I'm from Nigeria, actually, and I grew up in the eastern part of Nigeria. And after high school, I grew up in a moderate middle-income class family, where I eat 3 square meals every day. So I didn't really know what is poverty. So I think after university, I started reading books around development health and health economics. It changed my narrative around how people. I think I read The End of Poverty by Jeffrey Sachs. It taught me so many things that people actually go to bed without food. And when I see people, give tokens, give tips for UN agencies, I just feel like, but families are okay in Africa. Until when I relocated back to Nigeria, I had to go through, I went by road from Abuja back to the east. When I saw the kind of houses that were around that on Kenya Road, that was when it dawned on me that there's still poverty around in Nigeria.
Welcome once again to the Sage, and thank you for tuning in to be with us. Last week, we began a discussion on climate change and focused on remarkable people in our country who are already trying to do their own little bits in solving the situation. Very exciting is the fact that they're doing it in a way that not only deals with the environmental problem, but they're also generating income from it for themselves and for many poor people out there. We started our discussion with an amazing young man, Nonso Opurum. And he started to tell us about what he does. This week is to hear about his amazing enterprises. The Java Care, in which he told us is about telemedicine, and then his Soso Care, which links environmental sustainability with health insurance for the poor. Let's start with Java Care. Tell us, Nonso, once again, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tell us more about Java Care. What is actually involved? How does it work?
I think when you look at both of them, you have this care, you have Jara Care, you have Soso Care.
Yeah.
So actually, we started Jara Care because we wanted to bridge the gap in healthcare access. We wanted people to talk to doctors, irrespective of where they are. They could consult doctor online. We have significant number. When we launched the platform, we had a lot of doctors on the platform.
And you launched this when? What year?
That was
again?
in 2018. We launched it.
Before the COVID.
2018.
Yeah,
COVID was just last year.
Yeah, before the COVID.
Before the COVID, yes. So it was good, but one of the things we realized was people couldn't afford to pay for it. Because you see, the problem with health is that people who actually need health care, quality health care, people who live below the poverty line, these are people who live in slums. You know, they have to fight cases of mosquitoes and things like this. So we saw that this platform was selling more to people at the upper economy, income level, but for the low income people who are primarily our target, who we are not reaching them. So the entire thing changed when I saw children picking plastics. I was going to Geneva for Switzerland for a training at Basel. Then I saw children picking plastics. They told me they were giving it to their mom, who will in exchange give it to Abo, the traditional drugs, local drugstores, in exchange for some herbs for their sick brother. So who was sick?
What's what they help drugstores doing with plastics?
No, when these herbs, you need plastics to put the herbs inside the plastics and add alcohol so that people can have dogoyaro and abo, and people take these things, because that's more of self-medication. And you find this common with people who can afford to access quality healthcare because it's quite expensive. So when they told me about that, I was curious, and then I learned that we're actually trying to bring healthcare to low-income people, but we forgot that these people don't have money. That internet is a huge problem. They don't even use smartphone. So
that for them, telemedicine was a problem.
It was a big problem. It's
practically
not going to work. And you're trying to reach over 100 million people who are actually living below poverty line. How do you do this thing? So one of the things we learned was, so I found that for these people to pick plastics, there's actually a value around that. So traveling with the standard from Nigeria to Switzerland, each time I get a pack of plastics like water in the airplane, I keep getting, it keep ringing to my head like this is a value. I started seeing this as not just a waste, but like a form of payment. So in Switzerland, I learned that for telemedicine to work, insurance company have to underwrite it. So I came back to Nigeria and I looked at the environment. Waste was piling up. Nigeria generates a significant amount of waste, over 35 million tons of waste, and over about 20 to 30 billion plastic bottles, of which less than 5% of these are collected and recycled, which creates environmental problem and affects. Sometimes they wash into the ocean to block water with. Importantly, these plastics, they block the drainage system. And when they block drainage system, they turn to breeding ground for mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are a vector for malaria that affect people. So it's like a vicious cycle. These things.
They also change the habitat, the oceanic habitat, and therefore are detrimental to the fishes and other organisms in the water. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So when we looked at it, and we looked at healthcare, for example, in Nigeria has one of the worst cases of maternal mortality. Over 55,000 women die every year from pregnancy and childbirth. When you break those numbers down, that's like a woman dying in roughly less than 10 minutes. So possibly before this interview, a woman would have died trying to have a child. It's devastating because 85% of these deaths, you can actually prevent them if these women had access to quality and basic health care. So as a company, we thought of how best can we use one of the problems to tackle the other problems. Some people say using one stone to kill two birds. Environmental pollution is there, access to quality healthcare again is there. So what I did was, because I didn't have experience in insurance, I took up a job with ARM Pension because I needed to have deep knowledge in how insurance works. And I didn't want to go into full-time job. I wanted to serve the informal sector. So I worked with ARM informal sector. I tire myself for 6 months to do the job, get inside, then leave and go and start Soso Care. So it was there that I learned that people don't trust insurance. There's this huge distrust around insurance. People think insurance don't work. People think it's like expensive luxury for the rich. So I think one of the insights we learned there was, what if we create alternative way for people to assess the same value, go to hospital, get admitted, have cases of simple appendectomy, minor surgery, have drugs without having to pay money. How else can we bridge that gap and build trust? So,
Nonso, let me stop you there. Let me just make a point as we take a break. And when we come back, please don't lose your thread of thought.
Thank you.
You will continue. But the two things that struck me as remarkable when you talked. One was the fact that this idea of seeing people, young people and others, recycling plastic bottles, so to say, or selling them for a purpose, triggered something in you that made you begin to wonder, can you use it for something? That is what innovation is all about. That is one. I was also impressed and struck by the fact that you said you recognized you needed to know more about this issue of insurance. And so you actually went to work to understand it with an organization. I think those are such important points to flag. Stay with us. When we come back, Nonso will continue his story.
Thank you.
Thank you all for continuing to stay with us. It's been well worth it. Let us go back to Nonso and ask him. So I stopped you. I hope I haven't made you lose where you were. You were describing this issue of people's lack of understanding of health insurance or suspicion of it.
So, people believe that insurance is basically for the rich and, something that you design only for the upper end of the economy. It's like huge luxury. Who wants to, for a low-income person, he has this thing in his head. He thinks about his food, thinks about clothing, he thinks about shelter. Everything doesn't matter. Health is like, access to quality healthcare is like, when you call, we can just get drugs from a local drugstore. So, but you realize that thousands of people lose their lives every day from simple cases that could be prevented if they actually have access to quality health care. So for us, what we realize that how can we bridge that gap and trust, create affordability and create alternative way of financing care without people having to pay cash, probably enable the low-income people to get access to a very good quality hospital without having to rely on a local drugstore. So we felt that insurance is there, and what we could do is, instead of asking people, that woman that sells orange by the roadside, the woman that roasts corn at evenings, that woman that hawks pure water by sachet water in the evening, by the road in the hot weather, instead of asking her to pay money as premium to own insurance, this person can afford to pay for surgery when it occurs. Why don't we create alternative way for this same person to have the same quality of health care that someone like you can have, irrespective of your socioeconomic condition, the wide disparity. So we created Soso Care, as a low-cost health insurance, a partnership with a couple of insurance companies, as a low-cost health insurance, which aims to enable people to have access to quality health care across over 1,000 hospitals from Abia State to Zamfara. You could pay cash online, or you could donate recyclables across of our drop-off locations. The waste are sold, and the proceeds are converted into health fund to enable you access care. So you still have access to some quality health care, irrespective of the time, any day at any time.
That's intriguing. I want to know a little bit more about this, the recyclables. So how much products do they have to bring, and how much does it end them in terms of health care?
Well, we accept different forms of recyclable, not just plastics. When we started, we did the pilot with plastics. Within 6 weeks, we had about 92 people donating plastics to us. But we realized that plastic is not enough. What happened to sachet water on the road? What happened to single-use plastics? What happened to paper? What happened to used car batteries and metals that people don't actually need? So what we felt is, okay, why can we create different forms of recyclables? You donate it to us, so you could have access to quality health care. So we created a system, a point-based system that arrives to 4,000 points. Plastics are weighed at 5 points, and batteries are weighed as high as 500 points. So when you donate these things, we convert them into health food, depending on the quantity you donate. So roughly, if you're donating just plastics, you need about 200 kilograms of plastics to obtain a health insurance for 1 year health insurance. So if you're donating car batteries, you only need one battery to have a 1 year health insurance.
One battery?
Yeah, one battery, yeah.
Okay, I think all of us should start go looking for batteries.
So you donate these things to us. If you are using sachet water plastics, you donate about 250 kilograms, so we realize that for a single person to bring this, it requires more time. And our long run as a business people is we looked at the data and we said, how best can we improve the value to ensure that people can, donate these plastics in less than 1 week? So what we did is we have a couple of underwriters. We work with ASA Insurance, we work with Hija HMO, we work with Tangerine to provide life insurance. So what we try to do now, we process these plastics. By our ability to improve the value chain of the plastics, we cut it down from barely 200 kilograms that someone would donate to barely as little as 70 kilograms. So if you're only donating plastics, for a monthly cover, you only need 9 to 10 kilograms of plastic in a month to have a health cover, which also provide you access to healthcare quality worth about 350,000 in a year.
So 2 things occur to me there. One is, what do you then do with the plastics yourself? And the other one is, how do you get out this information so that people know that they can go do this and where to go and, bring their recyclables? Okay,
we have, one of the things we do is we try to build unit economies on distribution economies so that we have unemployment is widespread in Nigeria. So if you empower a low-income woman in a community to collect plastic from people from her location, that way people can easily mop up their waste and give her in exchange for health insurance. They don't have to. What you try to do, you also create confidence. Somebody wants to walk long distance to only go and recycle a pair of plastic. So when these people collect this plastic, we come, we pull it off from them, we sell to big recycling companies that convert these plastics, upcycle these plastics into a better value.
Yeah, I see. Okay. That makes a great deal of sense. So, but where have you found the funding to do it? Some of these things sound resource intensive to me. Yeah. The very fact that you collect and take to all of it, the logistics and transportation costs. How have you been able to deal with that?
We are currently trying to run some pilot with some organizations, which I cannot talk about here. But the goal is to ensure that, like there are a couple of states in Nigeria, we have a few states which we have partnered with. We have Kaduna State Minister of Environment. We have some states in River State like Eleme and Obiakpo local government. What we try to do with these states is that we understand that plastic pollute the environment. And this comes with huge economic costs on the government because pollute the environment, everywhere is dirty. And low-income people in these places don't even have health care. Okay, why not we come together as stakeholders? We collect, you help us, your job as compliance, to ensure compliance. We fund collection bins across the state. We mop up 2,000 tons of waste. In return, we provide 7,000 people with free medical insurance for less than 5 weeks. So it was like, it comes with zero financial burden on the government, and it has, environment is promoted, environment is clean, and low-income people also have healthcare. So for the government, it's like, okay, let's do it. So we've been able, we've signed a understanding with Kaduna State, and we also did the documentary with them, with BBC there. Now we're trying to also do in River State. So this pilot, we tend to kickstart it by January. So post-pilot, we are hoping to do additional 80,000 people using waste generated from the post states.
Wonderful. We'll be back for the final bit of the segment. Thank you for continuing to stay with us. Thank you once again for having stayed with us and for being here to witness the last segment of this show. As we turn to Nonso, it's been wonderful, very good really to hear that you're already in collaboration with several states and that you've been able to convince them that it's a win-win for everybody, Do the states provide you a certain amount of logistic help, What is their contribution to the effort?
Well, it's a win-win for us. And what the state actually does is because it's a pilot with the first 2 states. So when you're asking the states to bring in kind of the financial commitment, the project may not work. So we're taking the entire funding of the project. What state ensures? They ensures compliance of people, because we have to fund collection bins across the state. So the state will now ensure compliance, so you don't drop plastics in the environment, in the street, and fine you. So that way you also create job for these states.
But where is your profit? Because it's a business.
Yes,
a business that makes no profit will fold up.
Yeah.
So where is your profit in this whole enterprise?
Well, the thing is that when we sell, as a brokerage insurance provider, when we sell premium with cash, we make a very tiny profit. So that means we have to sell a lot of policies to have it to break even. But when the user exchange recyclables to provide, redeem insurance, we make 4 times what we make with cash.
Okay, really?
So we do more as a profit business. We do more profit and we make more income from recyclables than from exchanging cash.
That is music to my ears. That is good, because that means that kind of effort can be encouraged, and we're killing 2 birds, like you said, with one stone.
Yes, of course. So that is, we make revenue from selling plastics. We also make revenue from selling insurance. So you give us your plastic, we make some markup from the plastic. We also make some markup because we're using it to finance your insurance. So both ways we are making money from you. So it's like, let's say for example, with insurance as a form of cash, let's say we make $1, but with someone redeeming policy with recyclables, we make as high as $4.7. So you see the difference is wide. So what we are hoping to do is to scale more like what we are doing with state governments. Then we can meet impact investors to raise funds to scale the solution across other states in Nigeria.
That's a brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. Thank you so much for sharing that. As we wind up, can I ask you to turn to our audience and use some of your beautiful innovation and brilliance to give a few words of advice? What comes from your heart? What would you say to many other people out there, young, but not just the young, everybody that is Nigerian, that is from a developing world, about trying to make a good, honest living, but solving problems, particularly environmental problems, as well in doing that?
I just have a few words, and I still believe in hard work, and I believe in persistence and some element of luck. You just have to pretty work hard, and you also need confidence in what you're building. So whatever you're passing through or whatever you're trying to build, my simple advice that I always tell my team, and I always tell everybody, is go for it. The worst that will happen is you'll fail. And when you fail, you pick up the pieces and you start something else. But just go for it, so you don't have to have more excuses to make on the long run. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I like that. It's a call to action. It says, go for it, You will never win if you don't try. Right? Yeah. And winning is not something most times do the first time.
Of course, you
fall. Yes, you fall and you pick yourself up. You learn lessons and you keep trying. So that is wonderful. And so I find this very, very exciting, very, very encouraging. We need to do something about our world. We cannot afford to fold our hands and let the temperature, the climate change continue the way it is without a drastic improvement. Our world is deteriorating. We cannot leave it in this condition for our children or even for ourselves today. It is good to know there are some of us who are thinking innovatively, who are already finding ways to address that problem, but also to earn a living, a profitable living for themselves and many others who join them in that effort as they run their enterprise. Let us all hitch up our trousers, so to say. Let all hands come on deck. Let many of you out there who have similar ideas or even have listened to Nonso and think you can do the same, because there's a huge need out there. there's so much for everybody to do. If 10,000 people did this, there will still be wastes everywhere.
Of course.
There will still be many, many poor people who could benefit from a health insurance idea like the one Nonso has. We congratulate you
Thank you,
for having won the award. It is well deserved. We congratulate you for the work you are doing for our country and for yourself.
Thank you very much. Then.
We are encouraged, inspired, and thank you for having come to the show. And thank you, our faithful audience, for having listened. Please do come on board. If you have ideas that you also want to share, do write us on Conversations for Change. Our various contact addresses are there. Let us hear from you. Do you have other ideas you think can be stretched out, mapped out, and implemented? Perhaps we can also help. We're trying to source you funds. Or perhaps what you need is mentorship, where people like Nonso could discuss with you and share your ideas and see how they can support you as you roll out your own enterprise. Get in touch with us and continue to stay with us as we all work together to discover hidden treasures and make our country a better place and our world a better place. Thank you.